Wow, that was loud. Hello and welcome back to the Knowing Who podcast. We are back. We are alive.
Yeah.
We're still going, sort of. And we have a treat for you today, don't we, Miles?
Yeah, well, it depends what everyone's definition of treat is, but, let's see.
We've been teasing this for months. We are talking about K9 today, the 2010 or maybe 2009, depending on what source you look at.
Mm-hmm.
The Australian spin-off of Doctor Who that is completely disconnected from the main show, except for the main character K9 and a couple of references here and there.
Yeah. And its bizarre history to how it got made. We're going to do a bit of a deep dive both on K9 and also the history of this spin-off. And how the hell it ended up happening. Because it's a strange one. Yeah.
It is. Strange is a good word.
Yeah. It is so much its own thing, this spin-off. Not too much to talk about in the world of Who, really. Just outside of that.
We're still waiting.
We're still waiting on the war between the land and the sea. We've got Circuit Breaker, the new multi-platform event.
Oh, I have heard of it. I don't really know.
It's a fugitive Doctor sort of taking on the new Doomsday / Time Lord Victorious series. We don't know too much about that, I don't think.
Okay.
And there's
B&M
some dollies.
sets.
There's some dollies, which I didn't even know about until this morning. So there's been no official announcement, but these things have just started hitting stores.
Yeah, so yesterday they started hitting stores in the north of England. I've not gone to look in any local B&Ms. I thought maybe I'd pop into town today, but I couldn't be bothered.
It is weird because it's usually this neck of the woods that takes the longest to get those sort of things. Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. So what Al said on Gallifrey Base, because I'm on Gallifrey Base, I don't post anything, but I do check it every once in a while. I lurk. He said earlier this week or last week. To be fair, I don't know when we're recording this. So this is
the 10th of
today's
August.
the 10th of August. So earlier this week, Al said that they have just entered the UK and it's up to B&M now as to when they get put on shelves.
Right.
And then I guess the stores that got them first just put them out.
Well, there's two Daleks from Eve of the Daleks. Is that right?
Yes.
It's the gun and the claw, and then there's the 15th Doctor's TARDIS. Now,
that's nice.
And now, is the 15th Doctor's TARDIS, is that just the Jodie one that they've
It's
re-released?
exactly the same,
right?
Except the paint, I believe, is slightly darker, more blue as opposed to green, and they have painted on the slats on the side on the posts.
Right? Okay.
So there's like
little notches.
So they've got like a little grey bit, which is meant to be a notch,
right?
And it comes with an insert for, I believe, Jodie's interior and David and Shooty's interior.
Clever.
Yeah.
That's really nice.
Like the Fugitive one came with one for her TARDIS.
I think that's about it, though, for news, at least that I can think of off the top of my head. I've done more research into K9 than I have into what's going on in the Whoniverse at the minute. So, yeah. Should we get into this deep dive of K9?
I think we should.
Yeah.
Should we start with a history of the show, or should we talk about the first episode first? We did watch.
Yeah, we did.
Episodes.
So we have watched. So just for context, Ben has watched 3 episodes.
I've watched the first 3 episodes, which are technically counted as one story. I mean, I think that's a very loose term.
Sure, because I didn't even realise after watching episode 1 that it was a.
I have written what makes it a 3-part story in my notes, but I won't say it just yet.
So I've watched episode 1, Regeneration, and then also I jumped onto timescales, looked at what the most highly rated episode of the series was, which was Taffany and the Time Loop. Which was episode 20 or something. So I watched that as well, just to sort of see what the big guns of this series were. K9, just a bit of a deep dive. So originally, he was going to be called F1D0.
Is this in Doctor Who?
This is the original, before it was even pen to paper.
Fido. Yeah.
There you go. I was going to say, what is that? And he was created as a one-off character by Bob Baker and Dave Martin for their season 15 serial The Invisible Enemy, alongside Tom Baker and Louise Jameson, and that was, lest we forget, before R2-D2 in Star Wars. So K9 wasn't like let's jump on the bandwagon. Like, he was his own thing before all that. He was originally envisaged to be performed by a smaller actor in a dog-shaped suit. So it wasn't going to be a remote-controlled thing. It was going to be an actual costume. And preliminary sketches looked like a fiercely armoured Doberman. Yeah, there you go. That's what we could have had. The final design was done by Tony Harding, who had just 2 weeks to come up with this iconic. It's kind of mad that he had 2 weeks to come up with what's now become kind of an iconic design. I think up there with the Daleks.
A design that is not really in this program, just for
yes. Yes. So that was obviously done before he was going to be a prominent feature as well. This was a one-off kind of thing.
Yeah.
So obviously I think they would have maybe changed the design. Maybe it would have looked a bit more like what we've got in this series if they knew it was going to be a more of a reoccurring thing, because you've got your radio controlled element which was interfering with all the cameras, so he was constantly sort of veering off into the other sections of the set because all those radio signals, and also the motor was so loud that the composer Dudley Simpson had to compose this big bombastic kind of music just to cover up this extremely loud motor that was on set.
So if he was originally a side character, one episode appearance or one story appearance, did they just change midway through filming that story? Did they just decide, actually, we're going to keep K9?
So this was kind of for the producer's foresight of kind of going, I think this is going to work actually for kids, and went, let's change that ending. They changed the ending to K9 jumping aboard the TARDIS, and it obviously paid off because kids really loved this, robot dog, and he hung around. So from season 15 to season 18, so Warriors Gate was when it's the longest running companion, for all intents and purposes. And even though John Leeson voiced him for 2 of those seasons, then it was a different voice actor.
Was it?
And then so at the start of season 17, K9 gets laryngitis and is voiced by David Brearley instead. So it's this whole thing, and then John Leeson came back and voiced him for the final season he was on the show. So obviously in 1980 that news broke that K9 was going to be leaving the show. The Sun newspaper launched a Save K9 campaign, and invited the nation's children to write to the BBC demanding K9's return. So possibly as a result of that, J&T, the then current producer, actually discussed with Bob Baker and Dave Martin the possibility of setting K9 in his own series. And in that instance, it was going to be a series of animated shorts, like animated sort of 80s shorts. And whilst that was never developed, that's kind of what resulted in the other infamous K9 spin-off.
K9 and Company.
There you go, which was originally called Sarah and K9. So Sarah was going to get top billing, but that obviously did not happen. She is the And Company. But that was Doctor Who's very first spin-off, so, big news, and K9's at the helm. And that was recorded at the same time as season 19, so Davison's first series as the Doctor.
Right.
So there were kind of hints, because of that being filmed at the same time, that K9 was going to be coming to the parent series, going back to the parent series with Davison.
Yeah. Did K9 and Company ever air?
Yes, it did.
Right.
It did. In
I know we have it on DVD now. What was BBC One? Prime time?
It was around Christmas. It was a Christmas special, basically.
And it was a pilot.
It was a pilot.
Yeah.
Didn't do really well. So K9 didn't materialise again until the 5 Doctors for that brief cameo, as we discussed in our review of that.
Yeah.
And he basically disappeared from Doctor Who. Although I saw recently, so I subscribed to the BBC Archive on YouTube.
I love that channel.
It's cracking, isn't it?
Yeah.
And they did. There's a series that they did about tech and computers and things.
Tomorrow's World?
I don't think it was Tomorrow's World. I think it was something else. I think it was like Computer Byte or something.
Right.
And K9 is in a small little sketch about computer brains, and it's set in a maze, and it's voiced by John Leeson. It's really weird. It's a little oddity, kind of weird little spin-off. But other than that, don't see K9 again until 1990's Search Out Science. Have you ever heard of that?
No. Sylvester
McCoy, Sophie Aldred. It's like a BBC bite-size equivalent back in the day, and K9's in that as well. And then 1993's Children Need Special Dimensions in Time, which he's very briefly in for a shot. Bob Baker, one of those original writers, he retained the rights for K9.
Co-creator of K9.
Co-creator.
Yes. One of the Bristol boys.
One of the Bristol boys.
That's what his Wikipedia says.
There you go, yeah.
I did write down the other name. I'm sure you know it off by
Dave Martin.
There you go.
Yeah. So I don't know whether he was ever in talks with Bob Baker to...
I believe he passed away. So
when did he pass
away?
He
passed away around 2006 or 7.
Right.
So he was never part of this K9 spin-off, but I suppose he would have been around for School Reunion and all the Brits before that.
Well, this is the thing, because a solo series of K9, that was talked about as far back as I've got here, 1997.
So he must have been
around. So, but I think Bob Baker just seems to be this driving force behind K9. He really, and obviously
he's
Bob
still
Baker's
involved.
also,
He's still he's passed away now.
But he was involved
even after
right
the
way
end
up
of this
to it,
show, he was writing books and comics and novels and stuff. So
there's interesting stuff to go into that will once we've chatted about the series, where it could have gone afterwards. But yeah, a 4-part pilot series provisionally called The Adventures of K9, with a pilot filmed in 1997, and this was the figure quoted, a 7-figure budget.
So the BBC couldn't afford it.
So yeah, funding surprisingly proved elusive for that. But 2006, obviously coinciding with K9's return in the revival, suddenly we got news of this. So in April, Jetix?
Yes, Jetix.
Yeah, which is sort of a Europe channel, announced that it had teamed up with Park Entertainment and Doctor Who veterans writer Bob Baker and designer Paul Tams to develop K9 Adventures, as it was called at the time, a 26 half-hour comedy fantasy series featuring Doctor Who's famous robot dog. And The Independent said the cyberhound with a nose-mounted laser is set to star in a cartoon to capitalise on the popularity of BBC's revived Doctor Who. The cartoon series, which has been commissioned for a Dutch-based cable channel owned by Disney, will be co-written by Bob Baker. So that's this Jetix.
So I was going to say Jetix became Disney XD eventually. Because I watched a bit. I only sort of
you aware of Jetix?
Yes, I had Jetix as a kid. I didn't watch it much. It's sort of, and in Dubai, TV rights sort of shifted and changed all the time. So I only had it for sort of, no, I didn't always have it. It just sort of came and went as and when someone else had the rights to it, because it was basically cowboy land.
Right,
TV over there is, well, at least it was when I was a kid. It was run by cowboys.
Not actual cowboys, that can happen.
There you go. But I had Jetix occasionally. But it then eventually turned into Disney XD, and then obviously K9 was eventually on Disney XD. I think you've said it there. It was owned by Disney. I think it was originally owned by Fox.
Right.
So like the '90s X-Men show and Spider-Man. I think they were on Jetix.
Right.
Over here anyway. Maybe not in the US. And then they must have been bought out by Disney at some point.
But as I mentioned there, there was originally a cartoon series, and it sort of evolved a little bit into a live action and CGI series. So do you want the original premise for that?
Go on.
Here you go. So genre, comedy, unbelievably. Running time, 26 half-hour episodes. The premise is, somewhere in the future, an old prairie class spacecraft, I don't know what that means, is drifting towards distant stars. She is the I can only pronounce this word as the Pilate, but I'm sure that's not what it is. Once used for the colonisation of asteroids. On board are Slocum, mid-30s, rugged, who thinks of himself as a dealer in valuable commodities. So you've got a sort of junk trader, pirate character here. He's in no hurry to get anywhere, and he stays well off the beaten track. Also on board is Djinn, an overactive computer module in the shape of an attractive young woman. She was programmed by the ship's previous owners to provide stimulating conversation. This is a children's series, bear in mind. Together they discover an apparently abandoned battle cruiser, whereupon they meet K9. The adventures begin.
Right.
That obviously didn't happen.
No.
What
that
a weird...
way too expensive.
Yeah, very expensive, and just odd for a kind of... Here's a jaunty sitcom of like this space pirate,
this criminal,
this criminal, and an attractive woman in the computer thing, and K9.
It sounds like they're almost trying to do Star Trek.
It's very Star
Trek-y, because there's a woman who's been sexualized, and then a sort of morally dubious
captain,
probably old man character.
Yeah. Very. I'm glad that some reason didn't get to fruition. But I also don't see how you get from cartoon to this live action CGI space thing to then what actually happens.
I mean, the final show is live action CGI as well, sort of.
To a degree. Yeah. But like this is like, that was like, spaceships and
lots of CGI,
planets and things, whereas this is kind of London. And
in 2050,
with British people, and so it's very. I don't know how that leap got made, but I'm assuming costs were involved somewhere. So yeah, what do you think of that?
I'm glad. I mean, I was going to say I'm glad that what we got was better. I don't know if it is.
I genuinely think that what we got was the best of those sort of
all of our options.
Well, perhaps a cartoon is something that I think could work for
a cartoon
K9.
is probably the best option.
Yeah, but again, whether
people can shout at me, but essentially you have infinite money, infinite budget with the cartoon, so you can do what you want.
We'll definitely chat about that because I think that in terms of the future of K9 would be very interesting. But let's see. So the concept obviously totally changed, and on July 2007, funding was approved for the series, with a show shot between the 3rd of December 2008 and the 8th of May 2009.
Wow.
The series was produced in Brisbane, Australia, if you couldn't guess.
Yeah.
Shooting on location around the city and on a set built in a South Brisbane warehouse.
It is mostly on the set.
On that set,
yes.
The official air dates. So all of the way this thing got aired baffles me.
Yeah.
I was looking for like a single date.
So I would assume, before you go into what you're about to say, I would assume it originally aired in Australia first.
You'd think that. I don't know if I found.
So I've done the research as well. I've mostly used the TARDIS Wiki. The TARDIS Wiki gives multiple air dates from various years.
So does the Wikipedia. So does a lot of other
But
sources.
I would assume, as someone who grew up watching international TV, which is always a mess.
I bet the scheduling was all over the place. You probably get episode 20 before you got episode 1.
I would assume someone somewhere got them first, whether that was here in the UK or in Australia or maybe even in America, who knows, got it first, and they played it out on, I would assume, Disney, because I think Disney had the main rights worldwide, or Disney XD did, who was originally Jetix, who was probably originally something else. And then it came to the UK, also on Disney, but then someone else then sold the rights to the UK to Channel 5.
Yeah.
So Channel 5 is probably the official airing, because it was only on Disney, because I think Disney was European wide. It wasn't a UK specific Disney. So that was probably a European TV right that we just happened to get.
Yeah.
And then officially the UK dates were in Channel 5. But on the TARDIS Wiki, it sort of jumps between the Disney airings and the Channel 5 airings.
Because it kind of got, I think it got 2 kind of premieres in the UK at least. Because I'm hearing that the UK got just the first episode for Halloween 2009.
Yeah.
It's a very spooky episode,
It's very spooky. It's also a 3-part story, and we only got the first episode.
And then this is also weird, that between that and Australia and everywhere getting it, Scandinavia had the official premiere in. So again, this is about this European TV being all over the place in January 2010, but then also in Australia, their premiere in April 2010 was made to coincide with Series 5, Doctor Who. So,
which of course had nothing to do with this series at all.
Yeah. So all I know is, like you said, I saw this on Channel 5. Did you see this on Disney?
I saw this
XD?
on Disney.
Yeah,
Disney XD. Saudi Arabian Disney XD.
So there you go.
Because that's the version I had.
Well, can you give us an outline of the series then?
Episode 1 starts with our main protagonist, who isn't K9, Starkey, who I don't think we ever find out his full name, because on the TARDIS Wiki page, he's only listed as Starkey. Everyone else has a first name and surname.
Yeah, I've got just to briefly outline the cast here. I've got obviously John Leeson reprising his role as K9. He's basically like the Anthony Daniels of Doctor Who. Like he'll turn up as K9 for everything, apart from in season 17.
I think he also voices a couple other roles in this, because in the first episode I did notice he was voicing someone else as well.
Right, interesting. So we've got 16-year-old. So this is all these kids here. The ages are all over the place. So the 16-year-old Philippa Coulthard as Georgie.
And how do you spell Georgie?
Georgie.
That must be an Australian thing, right?
Surely. She's a rebellious 15-year-old, so 1 year between her age and the character's age. And then we've got 20-year-old Keegan Joyce as Starkey, who is a 14-year-old orphan rebel. So there's 6 years there. And then we've got 21-year-old Daniel Webber as Darius, the assistant to Professor
Griffin. And he's
Griffin.
the worst one at doing the accent. Really bad.
So what's weird as well, I don't know any of these other people from anything else.
No.
But I've seen him in...
Because I went through all their IMDb's, I did not recognise anything they were on.
He's the only one that I've seen in something else. There was a film with Daniel Radcliffe called Escape from I wrote it down somewhere. Escape from somewhere,
Right.
and it's like a South African prison break thing.
Oh, okay.
It's quite a good film.
Oh, that's
And
good.
he
Is he
doesn't-
Australian in it?
No, amazingly. Maybe he just doesn't do anything where he's got his own accent. But yes, and then there's also obviously Professor Griffin, played by Canadian actor Robert Maloney. Or
Is he Canadian?
Maloney?
Wow. I
Yeah.
guess he's better at doing the accent. He's also an adult.
Yeah, he's a character actor as well, apparently. So
Okay.
I don't know whether
I
that's
can
like
kind of see that.
that's his thing.
And of course, there's one other main cast member who is Inspector June Turner, played by Robin Moore.
Right.
And that is later, I don't know if it's in the first episode, but she's revealed to be Georgie's mum. And she works for the division. The division? The department. The department.
Right.
Not division.
Interesting. Yeah, I kind of... Weirdly, I remember knowing that, even though I don't think I saw beyond the first episode, and it's not kind of revealed in that one.
Yeah, I can't remember when they reveal that. It's in the first 3 episodes, though, because I did watch it.
Yeah.
Anyway, back to the sort of premise of the show.
Yes. So Starkey.
We open with Starkey, who is this freedom fighter obviously it's set in... Sorry, we should start with this. It's set in 2050, and the UK is a totalitarian hellhole. I'm sort of on track for that at the moment.
We'll be there.
I'm not going to be too political, but we're 25 years away from 2050.
With holograms in the Thames.
Holograms
the
floating
Thames.
above the Thames.
Yep.
The Brisbane River or whatever. Is the Yarra River in Brisbane? I don't know. It's in one of the Australian cities.
Either way, it's not the Thames.
Not the Thames. And they're doing these messages, Big Brother is watching you kind of stuff. Be good for your own good. Don't break the law.
And these police
These
things
very
that walk
cockney
around.
police.
Yeah.
All right, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Come here. The police are after you.
Yeah, it's kind of the vibe of the show, but very Power Rangers kind of costumes
they look quite
and
Power
stuff like
Ranger-y.
that. Yeah.
But we open with Starkey defacing one of these holograms, hacking into it, and he's playing a rebellious kind of mess. I can't remember what the message is exactly, but it's resist, something like that. And he's known for the police. He's a wanted criminal. This 14-year-old.
This 14-year-old boy. Yeah.
Surprisingly, no one else is doing this. It's just him. And then the police come along and we're going to arrest you. And then he runs off, and he runs into this big manor.
Not forgetting that he's already met Georgie by this point as well.
He has,
who
Georgie
seems to
just
be
sort of
aware
sneaks
him.
up on him,
Yeah.
And says, "Hi, I'm Georgie." And then he says, "Don't tell me your full name." And then they run off because they're being chased by the police to this sort of manor in the middle of London, which I think must be near Westminster, because when they do wide shots of K9 later on flying around, he always takes off around Westminster.
It's a lot of drone shots. Well,
it would have been helicopter at the
shots
time,
of London.
2008 London.
Yeah.
It's not changed
with a few holograms
at all.
popped in the sky.
Most of the time, they don't even put the holograms in.
Really?
It's just modern day to us London.
Yeah.
Anyway, where they meet, or they're sneaking up on one Professor Alistair Griffin, or Prof Griffin, as they often call him, who's trying to revive his dead family, or trying to pull them back from time. I assume they're dead. I don't know what's happened to them. I don't think that's ever revealed because it's a kids' show.
Yeah.
And he's about to save them and pull them to the present day using his time-space ray, which I don't think's ever given a name. Starkey accidentally unplugs it from the mains.
As you do.
And it ruins everything and breaks the machine, and he loses his family forever. I don't know if he ever gets his family at the end of the series. I don't know if that's revealed.
I'm assuming that's part of
Maybe
his
that was
plot.
going to be Series 2.
Yeah.
If
the
not,
the
Series
impression
1.
I got from this other one that I jumped forward to was, at the very least... So part of the overall plot is that there's this department, like you've mentioned, which captures aliens.
Yes.
And basically the professor ends up it's his thing to kind of get these aliens out of there.
Right.
And
Is that
release them.
and send them home?
Yeah, and try
Right,
and get them home, which was the sort of premise of
so
one of the late ones I
he
saw.
works for Division, and I think he's also just hired to use the machine so they can get stuff from the future. And
he's been
England.
hired to develop time travel.
Yeah, I guess.
I think.
But then everything goes wrong after Starkey unplugs the machine. He replugs the machine, and instead of his dead family, it starts to summon aliens.
Monsters.
Who are... Hang on, I have it written down, I'm sure, somewhere.
They're the 12 frame per second creatures.
I hate the effect they put on
It
them.
makes you feel like
it makes me
violently
feel ill.
sick. Yeah.
I've written Ninja Turtles in question marks. Surely I must have. I don't know. I can't remember what they're called.
Evil Koopa Troopers.
Yeah, they look like Ninja Turtles from the 90s.
Yeah.
And they are chasing down Starkey. They vomit all over Starkey. Some locatory kind of fluid, sort of like Alien, but without the acid. And then saving the day.
It's
K9,
the OG K9,
the original K9, wearing the collar from the classic series, the Tom Baker scarf-inspired collar.
It's tartan little.
Exactly. It is definitively K9 Mark 1, the one that was left on Gallifrey with Leela. This is canonically K9 Mark 1, who has, according to TARDIS Wiki, been on many adventures set by the Time Lord government.
If you have an evening to yourself, that's a fair rabbit hole to jump down, just looking at
specifically
K9
Mark 1.
Yeah.
And then eventually, somehow, he ends up being summoned by the time-space ray thing. And he has no memory of who he is.
Yeah.
Or maybe the explosion takes away his memory, I'm not sure.
I think that's implied. Yeah.
So he turns up, he notices there's these aliens who he was with. He was with the aliens on the other end.
Yeah.
Again, I can't remember what they're called.
The Jixon.
The Jixon, that's it.
On Jetex.
Yes.
The Jixon on Jetex.
And in order to save the humans, he tells them all to get out. And he
is
going to
blow himself up. I just love how K9's like, plan A, shoot the monsters. Plan B, kill myself. Yeah. It's just like, wow,
so he
that's
self-destructs. And I don't know if that's his logic as to how to save people. How has he not done that already?
How has he survived that? This K9 Mark 1 who's been on so many adventures, and what takes him out? I think I'll just have to blow myself up to save these guys.
I mean, to be fair, he does try and blow himself. He does blow himself up in School Reunion.
He does.
Not the same way.
Not the same way. No. But he's one for a noble sacrifice. He is our K9, for sure.
Anyway, he blows himself up. Saves everyone. And in his remains from being blown up is his regeneration core, or whatever it's called. It's something like that.
I do love how Starkey in that moment, he says, this is all that's left of him. And it's like, well, no, there's the head.
You can see loads of other bits of him on the floor here. The reason why he explodes, as I'm sure you know, Miles, is because the BBC only allowed them to use that design for that scene.
Yeah.
And then they had to redesign K9. So in order to get that redesign on air, they blew him up. And then they used this regeneration core, which was bonded to Starkey, because Starkey picked it up.
Yeah.
And he has this new 2K, as in the year 2000, Y2K design, and he looks very different to the K9 we know and love.
Do you know, as you were describing that just then, it weirdly put me in the mind of the TV movie and how you've got McCoy at the start of it just to regenerate into Paul McGann.
Yeah.
It's almost like he's purely there because they could have just gone from scratch and been like, this is K9 now, and then just not addressed it. But it's only there to tie it to the Doctor Who continuity and be like, that's K9 that is, because this is aimed at kids.
And the BBC could have just said no.
They could have said no.
Because the BBC own the rights to that design.
But it's a really thrilling thing, because I remember watching that when I was 10 or whatever. I watched it, and it was like, that's really cool that there's some new footage of this K9.
Of that version,
that was really cool to
me. When I watched it as a kid, not specifically that scene, but I remember me and a couple of my mates who watched Doctor Who as well, found that design, the new design, hilarious and awful. So, I don't know what the general reaction was.
Well, what is your reaction now? What do you think of this new design?
I still hate it.
Right.
It's nowhere near as good as the original. You can see bits of the original in it. There's similar shapes, and he's got the nose gun, and the K9 logo, I think's the same font, or very similar. It's
kind of a jazzed up.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of it is a jazzed up sort of Disneyfication of
It is very
K9.
similar. I mean, he's a sitting dog now, and he's mostly CGI.
Do you know, though, I never noticed this. The original K9 has legs, like, incorporated into this. So
underneath?
That shape of the kind of trapezium underneath, it is basically like legs on all four legs. Look at the K9 design, the original K9 design again. Pretend that trapezium at the bottom isn't there. It's legs.
I think that's a stretch.
I'm sure I found out recently that was a deliberate design choice because it's legs.
I think at the back, I can see the sort of shape at the back is sort of like a dog's hind legs because it sort of juts out.
Yeah.
But the front, I don't see the front.
Well, listeners, write in
Anyway.
and tell us, has K9 got legs? Yes or no?
This TV show certainly didn't.
I'm going to be honest, right?
Yeah.
I struggled to write notes for this.
So did I.
Because I was kind of enjoying it a bit.
I wasn't.
No, right, well, I wasn't expecting to have a positive reaction to it. But I think what it wasn't necessarily like, this is some of the best TV I've ever seen in my life.
Certainly not.
It was more like it made me nostalgic for that era of kids' TV I grew up loving. So I grew up watching stuff like your MI High, your Young Dracula, the Sparkle Mystery, all of that sort of low budget, but trying its hardest to give kids great, just fun entertainment. So, being honest, it's of that caliber, and that's not a slight against this or them. You know, it's just, it is not aiming for anything deep, so it's hard to judge it. I know that the Sarah Jane Adventures is aiming for a similar audience, maybe slightly older, but I don't think we can judge this K9 series on the same level as those other ones, both in terms of, you know, what budget it had and what its aim was.
I mean, I think this must have had a pretty decent budget because the monster costumes are really good.
And they've got a hell of a set, you know.
Yeah,
for that.
It's a massive set.
They built that whole, you know, mansion. So, you know, it's not like it was cheap.
And K9's mostly I think there's a physical model of K9, but it's mostly CGI because it's flying around all over the place.
And I mean, you know, it is a physical model, but they do that thing of, which I think is genius. And I know it's so simple, but just make him hover.
Someone holds him,
and they just have him on, like, I don't know, like a little, you know, some sort of raising and, you know, platform. It's a simple thing. I don't know if that's just me, but I think that's exactly what...
I do like stuff
What's
like
wrong
that.
with K9 hovering? Because it gets away those awful 2 shots of Tom Baker on his legs.
That's
sort
true.
Of, you know, kneeling down. What's wrong, K9? You've just got him at eye level. There's nothing wrong with that. Obviously, you've got the moment when he's sort of... just sort of his post-regenerative trauma, and he flies around London.
Whee!
Yeah, which is a bit like... Okay, maybe that's a bit much. But kids, I mean, young kids, that's what this is aiming
for. This K9, and I suppose K9 in the class, I'm mostly used to the new series version of K9 and the one in School Reunion and then into Sarah Jane. But in the classic series, he was a bit of a troublemaker sometimes, I think.
He's kind of like a
bit of a dunce.
No, well, both. I suppose both in a way. Both that he's kind of like the smarmy kind of know it all.
Yeah.
But also like he would be taking the mick of in terms of like, oh, we're landing on a swamp planet. Well, K9, you're gonna have to stay indoors.
Yeah.
Or like there's even like a little music cue at one point when K9's on the way to rescue Romana and he reaches a river and he can't cross it, so he has to turn back and the music sort of goes wah, wah, wah. So, you know, he was kind of gradually framed as like, this is a bit stupid.
Okay.
But here it's interesting because
he's a bit I mean, you've only watched 2 episodes.
Yeah.
In the first 3 episodes, there's part of I think the second episode he's just stuck in a bin.
I've seen
most
a screenshot
of the
of
episode.
That. Yeah.
But he's very much sort of, I know what I'm going to do, and I don't need to listen to you.
Which, in a way, is quite like.
But that's not
child.
Yeah, and I think from what I know about classic series K9, that's a bit sometimes what he's like. Not always, maybe. But the new series, he's very much just, tell me what to do and I'll do it. Yes, master.
Yeah.
Yes, mistress.
He's just of a sonic screwdriver that can talk, basically. Yeah.
But he doesn't have any kind of personality, really. He's just, yes,
except for
no.
When in the Sarah Jane Adventures, he's got that sort of dynamic with Mr. Smith. And
he does.
It's
yeah,
kind
that's
of that
true.
sort
that's
of,
true.
you know, the banter between the two of them.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like they've sort of made him here. He's like the know-it-all kind of
I remember
toddler.
As a kid hating that.
Really?
I hated that aspect of K9 as a kid.
Right, that kind of...
Because it just wasn't K9, because K9 to me was a very obedient good dog.
Yeah, it's interesting, actually, to sort of pin down what his character is. I do think it's slightly different in this series than the TV show.
And I think most people watching this show didn't know what Doctor Who was. Because it's an international program.
Exactly, yeah. I mean, it was shown in loads of places. Like K9's probably touched more continents than Doctor Who itself, bizarrely.
Well, not anymore with the Disney deal.
Well, yes. There we go. Not now.
At the time, where I was growing up, no one knew what Doctor Who was.
Mm-hmm.
But if you had Disney, I guess you might have known what K9 was. Weirdly, bizarrely, without knowing what Doctor Who was.
Very strange. Yeah. Very weird. But yeah, bright colours, simple plots, twinkly music. I mean, it's not going to win any awards, but it's pretty serviceable kids' TV. So, what about just like an elephant in the room? We've already sort of touched on it, but accents.
God,
because obviously this was shot in Australia, but for some reason they decided to set it in London.
I don't know why they couldn't just set it in Australia.
I wouldn't have minded Brisbane set
because there's not much Australia in Doctor Who.
No.
So why not?
Yeah, it's very strange.
So some of them are all right. Professor, Mr. Canadian character actor man, he's all right. He's pretty good. Starkey, for the most part, is all right.
I was going to say he's probably the best of the three.
Yeah, Georgie is sometimes all right.
She's sort of like, I've watched all of Harry Potter.
Yeah,
I know how Emma Watson speaks.
Hermione. She is Hermione.
She's literally Hermione. She's styled after Hermione. She's like, I've watched enough Emma Watson to know how to do this.
And then skipping Darius for a second. Hermione's mum, Inspector, she's awful. She's all right. She does the Britishness and she kind of talks like this, and then she'll say, "Oh, and she'll go Australian for a bit.
I think by the point that when I jumped later into the series and she was in it,
is she just full
there's moments when she kind of goes, I'm just going to do my Australian accent at this point.
I'm just going to go Australian. And then Darius Pike, the engineer assistant to the professor, he does an attempt for his first couple lines, and then I think he's just an Aussie for the rest of it.
Yeah, it's a very strange. And also that first episode at least, it's ADR mad.
Oh, so the first note I have for the first episode, this is literally the bit where he's on the Thames side, not the Thames, Thames. Everything he says is ADR. I've written ADR hell immediately.
I think, genuinely, I would put money on 90% of this, maybe even 95% is ADR, that first episode.
Possibly because maybe it's just they didn't know they were meant to be doing British accents.
Maybe.
And they just decided.
Yeah, I have no
idea. Maybe it wasn't originally set in London. Maybe it was Australia. I don't know.
There's so little about how this stuff got developed.
There's
no
information
idea
on any of this. Also, this is something I noticed straight away, and if you haven't noticed it, I'll ruin all of your future K9 viewing experiences and everyone listening to this. It's made 4:3 safe. So it's shot in 16:9.
Right.
But all the action happens within the 4:3 area of the screen.
Hence why.
So every single
shot. Are those ones on
has,
YouTube 4:3?
Yes.
Yeah.
So every single shot in the pilot. So the pilot is available for free on YouTube in 16:9 in HD.
Yeah. Published by
the company that makes the program, and I went to their website and it's been shut down, and I don't think that company exists anymore.
Okay.
But it is there for everyone to watch, at least in Britain. The first episode is so obviously shot 4:3 safe because it was 2008 when they shot it.
Wow.
And if you look at it, everything on the edge of the screen is just empty. There's nothing there. It's just
interesting.
No people, no characters, no text, nothing. It's all in the middle. And it was the same on Disney Channel. If you go back and watch Hannah Montana or Sweet Life on Deck, everything was shot like that.
Because people all had them tellies.
Because no one had 16:9 TVs until like 2011, 12. Yeah.
Wow.
Although I was watching Doctor Who earlier today because we have another episode lined up that we're going to record after this.
We do indeed.
And that wasn't 4:3 safe. There's loads of stuff on the edges because I was looking for it because it was a similar time.
Maybe it was because of it being more internationally screened. Maybe different territories have different setups and things. But that is very interesting. So there you go. When I go back and rewatch the series tomorrow,
that really annoyed me.
Talking of the actors in it, I thought John Leeson was fab. He does a really a nice sort of lighter, bouncier version of K9. It's basically like a Disney version of K9,
Yeah.
And I think that ties in with the design as well. It's just a very nice sort of kid-friendly version of the cat. I mean, the cat has always been kid-friendly, but even more so.
Did you notice that when the professor is tinkering with K9 in the first episode, he plays 3 notes that K9 recognises. He doesn't know exactly what they are, but he remembers them.
I did notice this. I wrote this down. Yeah, very. I was like, oh wow, they've literally, yeah. I mean, that's cheeky, isn't it?
It's extremely cheeky.
That is very cheeky. But they got away with it, clearly. You know. But speaking of themes, what do you think of the theme tune?
I can't remember it. It did not stick with me.
Really?
At all.
You watched 3 episodes and you can't remember the theme tune?
Not at all.
Oh, I think it's... I kind of think it slaps. I think it's really... It's kind of sort of whimsical and,
It's sort of like
data beeps and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's all I remember.
I mean, the K9 and Company theme tune is cracking, but I think this is a really nice uptake. Yeah, unfortunately we didn't get that in this.
I'll sort of go into the first story, shall we say. The first 3 episodes. They are called a story on the TARDIS wiki. They are counted as one story.
This is Regeneration is the first one.
Yeah, I did not take down the names of the other 2 episodes.
I cannot help you on that, I'm afraid.
I'm not going to find them. Regeneration is the first story. It's the first episode. Mm-hmm. That ends with Starkey being arrested.
But then, in the version I watched, he gets out of prison.
Yes, so it ends with him being arrested and then escaping, but he's still on the run.
And then K9 almost shoots him because he
smells like a Jixon
thing on him.
He's got the Jixon juice.
The Jixon
all
scent.
Over him.
Yeah.
So K9 almost kills him. It ends with K9 remembering who he is, and then he's decided, I'm going to go out on my own, I think, and live on the streets. That's how it ends. The second episode, they're still in the house. It's sort of continuing on. The main plot is, I've written here, Georgie does her best Hermione impression, and then followed it up with 2 rats appear from the space-time beam. Because you know how it just pulls stuff.
So that's their version of the rift, or
it's essentially the rift.
The Hellmouth.
Yeah, the Hellmouth.
Little teaser for next
teaser. So 2 rats appear. I thought that was going to be, oh my god, the Black Plague.
Or something.
No, it was just some rats.
Right. Okay.
No, unless that comes back later in the series, which I don't think it does.
Speaking of monsters, though, there's some axons.
I was getting to that.
Oh, okay, right.
Bloody hell, Miles.
But they were in the first episode, so I did see them.
Were they?
Yeah. Like Georgie shows Starkey some pictures of, here are some poor helpless monsters, and there's like an Axon kid who looks really depressed.
Yeah, that must have been taken from the second episode because it's the same characters.
I see.
So the second episode, then they're sneaking into this alien prison, which is run by the department. That's their official title. Georgie's mum is like the boss of the department. Which I believe the reveal is near the end of the second episode. That's where that is revealed. And you'll never guess where they're based in London, this alien prison.
The Tower of London.
The Tower of London.
There you go.
So my headcanon is they are the remains of UNIT in 2050.
There you go.
That's a nice little link, isn't it?
Oh, everyone's going to be wanting to watch this now.
Yeah.
This is all tied together.
And another fun fact, if you go to the TARDIS wiki page, there is a Shattered Dimensions card, which is the digital card trading game based on Doctor Who, for the department prison. And that is the only reference to this series in the entire game. So K9 goes and flies off to the prison because I think they want to go save the monsters who were trapped there because Georgie she wants to free them all. So K9 flies off. And he's on the mission to free them and to sneak into the prison and let all the monsters out, the aliens out, which is where the Axon baby is, Axon teenager or whatever. And there's other characters, I can't remember what they're called, but there are other baddies. There's one from the Daleks' master plan, apparently.
Okay.
I don't know what it is, but
which
that's
one
what
it
was
could
on
be.
the title. It was the thing in like a black cape.
Right. I mean,
could
there's
have been
plenty of those
anything.
villains which could easily be replicated.
And there's something else, I can't remember what it is. I think most of the aliens that are in Doctor Who were created by Bob Baker, hence why they are allowed to be in
so
this,
your Axons obviously was made by them, and I'm trying to think of another one.
That's the idea. So I've written Axon prisoner. Anyway, K9 falls into a bin. I've written main plot for this episode is K9 falls into a bin. So
is that what the episode's called? Maybe that's the title.
Maybe.
Of episode 2.
So while that's all happening, Starkey and the guy who can't do an English accent, Darius,
there we go,
decide, actually, we're going to go and do it instead because they don't like each other very much. So Starkey, they have this agreement that once they save K9 once they save the aliens and they get K9 out of there, because they're going to do it before K9 does it. They don't know K9's fallen into a bin at this point. we will go. I will leave with K9. That's what Starkey says. And then Darius is happy because he doesn't have to deal with Starkey anymore because he doesn't like. He really doesn't
there's this
like
weird
him.
like love triangle between the three of those characters. Like Starkey's not
Starkey's
sort of bothered,
oblivious. Yeah,
but Georgie likes Starkey and this Darius likes Georgie.
Yes.
So
exactly.
it's kind of this.
And Starkey
thing
likes K9.
Starkey likes K9.
So they go off in their self-driving London taxi cab, which Darius owns. They drive off to the Tower of London. They sneak in through the sewers, I think. They get caught by a Cockney robot.
Yep.
They get imprisoned with an alien who they give a name. I think they call him Stinky or Smelly, genuinely, because he smells. Which I find very rude because they're just
kids TV
openly
of the 2000s.
talking about this alien who's bright blue and apparently is played by the guy who co-run this with Bob Baker.
Really?
Which I can't remember his name.
Paul Tams.
Yes, apparently he's played by Paul Tams. And then they escape from the cell because Georgie is there. I can't remember how she gets in.
This is all in one 25-minute episode.
Yep. K9, well, they're still in the prison, but they escape the cell.
Right.
K9 wakes up because there's a plot device set up in the previous episode where K9 recognizes the sound of a bouncing ball, a repetitive bouncing noise.
Yes,
So that is then carried through because it's all one story. So K9 wakes up to that bouncing sound that the professor remembered he set up. He then flies into the prison, releases them from the cage and all the aliens. Georgie is also there. And then, as they are about to leave through the big main door with all the aliens behind them in tow, Georgie's mum turns up and reveals that she's Georgie's mum. And then, dun dun dun, that's the end of the episode.
Right, so it's a cliffhanger, episode ending for that episode, right?
Well, I think it's implied that they all escape.
Okay.
Because Georgie's mum realises that she's a bad guy and wants to be a good guy.
I see.
I think that's the idea.
Okay.
That's where my notes end
for
that episode.
And then you watched episode 3
and then
as well.
Episode 3, which is also apparently part of
the same
story. Starkey's on the run because he did what he said he would do.
Right.
He freed the aliens and he agreed that he'd leave.
Right.
And he and K9 leave and they're on the run. And it literally opens with them doing more freedom fighting, hacking into stuff and changing messages and stuff. But K9's helping. And then they're camping. He's having some beans, some baked beans that he bakes himself. K9 thinks he's being helpful, so he heats up the beans with his laser.
Nice.
They explode everywhere.
Not nice.
And then K9 remembers that beans make you fart because it's a children's show. That gets paid off later.
Okay. Oh God.
And then the another baddie appears out of the space-time ray, and they're called the Corvin. Now
I've heard that name.
You may remember this because we were looking into these episodes somewhat recently, and I think they come back at the end of the series. They're the big bad at the end of the series.
They weren't in the one that I watched, but I have heard that name before.
Yes, so the Corvin are bad guys. They don't really go into it. They're just generic bad aliens.
They're just baddies, yeah.
They're basically, they do the same stuff that the Jixen do, except without the vomit stuff. They steal the professor away. The Corvin are from 2618. They're from the future. And the only way to defeat the Corvin, I don't know if I wrote down what it's called, but is to use this special kind of gas, which hasn't been invented yet because they're from the future.
Right.
K9 knows this, and this agent from the future appears as like a big floating blue hologram head projected from the time-space machine, and he tells the protagonist, you need to get this stuff to kill the Corvin. I can't remember what it's called, but it's some sort of gas. Anyway, the Corvin like to be cold, so he takes the professor away to this like frozen factory kind of thing where he hangs out. He's trying to steal the professor's memories to figure out what's going on, like the Daleks do in Doomsday.
Oh, okay.
It's very similar. Like they're trying to figure out where and when they are and what they need to do to take over the world, I guess. And then the main cast come along, save the professor, K9 in tow. Turns out this gas makes K9 drunk. So K9 is like, oh, hey, we're going to do this. Oh. And then he passes out and falls on the floor. He's literally drunk.
Whoa. So first episode, post-regenerative trauma. Second episode, in a bin. Third episode,
he's drunk.
Yeah.
It's bizarre.
Wow.
They, because they have the stuff that kills the Corvin, which is also the stuff that makes K9 drunk, they save the day. They defeat the Corvin, save the professor, and they then, as a thank you for saving the professor, they say, actually, we can just hack into the mainframe and get rid of Starkey's wanted notice. So that's the end of the part 3.
It's to sort of tie it all up. He's no longer a wanted.
Starkey's now no longer a wanted criminal.
See, right.
So that's why these 3 episodes, I assume, are listed
together.
as 3 parts for one story.
Okay.
And then it all gets paid off because K9 farts.
Wow.
That's the first 3 episodes of K9 in a nutshell.
And you watched all of those?
Yeah.
Did you watch them back to back?
Yeah.
Oh, Ben.
God, it dragged.
Wow.
90 minutes of my life I'm never going to get back.
Well, maybe that's why I was a bit more favourable to this, because having watched the first episode on its own in isolation, 20 minutes, bit of fun, bit of flim-flam, old K9's there, here's the new one, simple, that's fine. Like I said, I also watched an episode 20, Taffany in the Time Loop, which is the highest rated episode.
Okay.
This the ADR is much better by that point, by the way.
Good.
Like I was.
To be fair, I don't think there's any ADR in episodes 2 and 3.
Yeah, I think
it's just
that
1.
pilot one. Yeah. And the cast have more of a hold in their own characters as well. I mean, in comparison to what you've just described, it was quite nice actually. It's a simple, self-contained kind of thing. The professor's just. It starts off, the professor and K9 are getting this little girl out of the prison. She's another one of these people that the department have captured. Right. She's a girl from another planet, I think, or she's had this stuff inflicted upon her.
Okay.
Anyway, she's got these powers. And
Sky from Sarah Jane.
It kind of, yeah. Anyway, they save her from this thing. She's like, it's kind of one of those typical kids show storylines of there's a moral to it, of like this girl is kind of, she wants friends, and she makes friends with obviously the main trio, but she's also leeching the energy off Georgie as well at the same time. So Georgie's getting weaker and paler. But she's like, I've got this whole group of friends now because she's never had these friends before.
This is a much more well-rounded plot.
It's kind of,
already.
It's
this sounds
basic,
like a Sarah Jane episode.
Yeah, it's basic stuff. I think a Sarah Jane story would be a bit more developed than this, but it's kind of, that's the main crux. Georgie's basically going to end up dying if she keeps staying there, but this girl, Taffany, still wants friends. Her British accent is actually pretty good as well.
Okay.
She's probably better than the main 3. She may well be British. It's a kind of a story about, giving up what you have for the sake of others and that sort of kindness dealio. The professor gets aged up in this as well. There's a moment when she uses her powers to basically be like, don't tell me what to do. He gets aged up into this white-haired version of himself. Basically the first Doctor from Doctor Who, because he's going around doing like a and it's actually quite funny deliberate. Because it's kind of like a deliberate Doctor Who homage, and he can't hear very well,
and in the first episode I think they do a bit of a Back to the Future homage with him.
Yeah, it's kind of the Doc and Marty,
he literally in the first episode they knock on the door
and
he opens and he's got the big thing on his head like Doc does in Back to the Future Part 1.
It's pretty decent, and K9 in it is quite nice as well, because he's kind of like the voice of reason, in the sense of like he's just saying pure facts and being like, if you stay here, Georgie's going to die, we need to send you away. I don't get why everyone's confused about that. You just need to leave. But they're all obviously about the emotional angle. So it's actually quite nice. Nothing stand out, but it's a decent 25 minutes of kids telly. After all that malarkey, Ben, will you be watching any more K9? Or
unless we do something for the podcast? No. I'm not planning on it.
So you weren't a fan?
No.
I mean, I won't be jumping back either, but I will say that, we're not the target audience really. No. This is just like watching back.
So we were the kids I suppose this was made for.
And given that, I mean, I personally didn't have any access to it, any of it outside, because Channel 5, I don't know whether they did schedule more of them or whether I just watched this first one and didn't manage to watch the rest. But, I don't know whether I would have been into this as a kid or not, but it definitely made me nostalgic for that kind of telly.
So tell me, Miles.
Yeah.
What was the plan for Series 2?
Well, apparently, a second series was in development. I don't know how successful that first series was. 26
obviously
episodes.
not enough.
But obviously, yeah, but it seemed it was broadcast all around the world, as we've mentioned.
Yeah.
April 2016, Bob Baker stated that the TV series would not continue, and the focus was now on a new venture, the film Canine Timequake. So that was destined for the cinemas in 2017. I remember being aware of this at the time, and that was going to be featuring, the robot dog himself facing off against Omega, another of Bob Baker's creations, in deep space. But yeah, that didn't arrive. So in September 2018, it was announced that, and I quote, a new multi-million-dollar series was in development under a partnership with a major US UK company, and in December 2020 there was an anthology released called Megabytes, which featured K9 and was teased as the road to the Timequake film. But that's pretty much it, really. Bob Baker passed away in 2021.
Yes.
And then the official K9 Twitter page released a statement saying Bob had recently completed scripts for both a new K9 film and TV series, which will continue in tribute to Bob and his legacy. But that was the final message from that Twitter account, and there's been nothing...
In 2021.
In 2021, November. There's been nothing since then to suggest that anything will be done with
Well, you actually missed something.
Oh, okay, right.
This is on the TARDIS Wiki.
Right, okay.
On the page for K9.
Tell me, what else has been said? It's
actually one of the first things that's on that wiki, instead of talking about the show itself.
Right.
A second series was planned.
Yes.
With a different production partnership.
Right.
So I don't know if that means Britain or Australia or whatever, with a newly designed K9, which featured on the cover of a couple novels that were written by Bob Baker, and new footage was shot and shown off at a convention.
Right.
I don't know what convention. I don't know where.
I read that there was a new design made, and that was shown. This design or a model was shown.
It's very similar to the one from series 1 of the show.
It's like
they've
just
changed
a slightly
the ears,
more souped up version of it.
I think his ears are floppy.
Something
they can
like
move.
Yeah.
But it was shot. There was new stuff made. It was never released. It was only shown off at a convention. I don't know which convention. It just says a convention.
And what's the source for that?
It's just on the TARDIS Wiki.
Right, okay.
So it could all be wrong.
Right.
But those designs were eventually then used in comics and books.
I think it's pretty much radio silence in terms of that stuff. But the question is, will we see K9 ever again? I mean, has he appeared in any other media since?
Well, I assume the rights now belong with his family.
Or his estates, or I mean, I don't know about Paul Tams, the other co-writer of the series.
There's not a lot about him online that I can find on Paul Tams, so I don't know.
But would you like to see K9 again?
I'd happily see him come back.
Yeah,
in the main show.
In the main show, so you wouldn't want any other spin-off media. I
don't see a point to it without the Doctor being around, or without it being BBC licensed, like officially BBC. Because otherwise it just opens the door for nonsense, really.
I think K9 does have legs, though, pun intended, to have his own series. Something like that CBeebies animated thing.
Well, I thought that earlier. So
that would be great for
I'd
K9.
happily see him in that, because that's BBC licensed, essentially. They can use the actual K9 design. No offence to the awful one from this series.
I like it. There's a model released of that, wasn't there?
I think there was an action figure back in the day.
Yeah, like in scale.
That was
with
basically in scale with the character
ones.
options lines, which was I didn't get it, but I think I saw it once. Anyway, so I wouldn't mind that. It would be BBC related. I'm sure John Leeson's still around, right?
Yeah. He's done it. There's been a box set from Big Finish released called Smith and Sullivan, which is about Sarah and Harry Sullivan, and K9 is in that, and it's set in the 90s, 80s.
That's cool.
So
I'd be happy to see him come back in that kind of respect, but I don't, and that would presumably, the Doctor would be in that in some way, or various companions. Characters from Doctor Who would be in an animated Doctor Who BBC run.
It'd be very interesting to see what comes
I'd prefer
of that
to
pitch.
see that than to see just K9 is doing his own thing in the universe somewhere. Yeah, so I don't really feel a need for another K9 spin-off, specifically K9, but really anything Doctor Who related. Let's see what the War Between the Land and the Sea does. Maybe K9's in that.
Maybe
he's working for UNIT.
I mean, I'm sure Kate would be willing to recruit anyone, robot dog or otherwise. Get him in. Well, there we go. Who knows? Who knows what we'll see of K9?
Who knows?
In the future.
Knowing who.
There you go. He's got it in there.
I think we do that somewhere every episode.
I think it's our unintentional catchphrase every time. Anything else you'd like to add, Ben, before we wrap this up?
I don't think so.
No.
I think that's everything I had.
Yeah, I think we've expended all our K9.
How long have we been recording about K9?
I don't know, but I think we've talked more about K9 than anyone has ever talked about K9
probably
before.
Yeah. Take that, Josh Snares.
So, I hope you've all enjoyed listening to this. Do let us know if you're going to explore the K9 Australian series.
Please do, please. If you do watch it, let us know what you think.
Give it a look.
It is hilarious.
That first episode is out officially on YouTube, and
you can find the other ones.
You can find the
also
others
on
YouTube. So yeah, give it a watch. Give it a shot.
Yeah.
But appreciate it.
Or if
for
you watched it as a
is.
kid, let us know what you thought of it then as well.
Yeah.
Because I watched it, I just don't remember it very well. But
really
I'm sure there's someone who it was their favourite show.
Exactly. I bet there's loads of people who grew up and was like, oh yeah, that K9 programme, that was great. So yeah, let us know. We will be back soon though.
Don't ask us when, we don't know.
But we will be back. Well,
we have an episode planned. We're about to record it.
Talking about something both very familiar and quite unfamiliar as well.
Close to our hearts at this moment in time.
Yes. So I will leave you on that teaser. But for now, we will play you out with the K9 theme tune.
Jesus.
Enjoy. You've been listening to Knowing Who, another Doctor Who podcast with me, Miles Taylor.
And me, Ben Davidson. Thank you to Sonny King for producing our theme tune.
And thank you to you for listening. You can find us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, plus YouTube on the Tailored Vision YouTube channel.
You can also follow us on all social media channels at Knowing Who Pod.
Catch you next time for more Knowing Who.